Liquor store employees of Reddit, what is the craziest instance of underaged kids trying to get booze you've ever encountered? I used to work at a bar. A girl came in and gave me an ID. I asked if it was hers. She said yes. What she didn't realize is that the purse she stole the day before, and the ID she was now using, belonged to one of the other bartenders. Calling her over to look at this was a satisfaction I haven't felt before or since. Two guys tried to buy beer. I asked them for ID. They legit gave me their actual IDs. Like a vertical ID that had their DOB clearly making them under 18. When I told them no, they were like, "Really man, can't you just be cool?" Like their whole strategy was to hope that the clerk would just be a cool guy. Hey, at least they were honest. Sometimes you just hope the clerk isn't feeling in a mathematical mood that day. If you hand them the ID, they might just figure, hey, he wouldn't hand me an ID if he was underage, and might not even look at it. You don't catch a butterfly unless you swing the net. When I worked in a bar, I did that. I'd ask for ID, they'd hand me one. I'd stare at it for a moment and be like, yep, all good. I bet I served some underage chancers. At the gas station I worked at, this kid walks in, no way he's more than 16, heads straight to the beer cooler as my coworkers and I stare incredulously. He grabs a 12-pack and as he's approaching the counter, I ask, "Can I see your ID?" He looks me in the eye, says, "Nope," drops a $20 on the counter and walks out. We weren't sure what to do after that, because he didn't exactly steal anything, but we also couldn't just accept the money, because that would be selling to a minor. I left it for my boss to figure out. Balza and cool as a cucumber. I like this kid. I had a guy come in to try to buy booze with an absolutely terrible fake tattoo. Tattoos and alcohol have the same age restrictions here. I'm guessing he thought that if he had massive tribal tattoos down his arm, we would just assume that he was old enough. He'd clearly done them with a felt tip pen, but it was a hot day, so the sweat was making them drip down his arm. "I think your tattoo is dripping." At college I worked at a liquor and beer place adjacent to a grocery store. Lots of regulars and people from the neighborhood. For several weeks I had been serving this one guy. Pleasant, polite, early 20s, 6 feet 4 inches, maybe 260 pounds. One day after he left, this older dude who was in line came up to the counter and said, "You know that kid is only 16, right?" I couldn't believe it. Apparently he rotates from store to store until he gets caught. Sure enough, next time he came in I asked for ID. He just said, "God damn it," and stormed out of the store. I used to work at a store similar to a Walmart, and the rule was to ask anyone who looked younger than 40 for an ID. Here's an opposite one. I carded a guy once because I thought he was underage. He laughed this dejected laugh and gave me his ID, which was legit after careful inspection. He was about 10 years older than me. A living, breathing man-child. The place I worked at had an ID under 30 policy. This woman comes in and she looks borderline, like 28, but didn't get enough sleep the night before. So I carded her. Turns out she was well into her 60s. Where is this fountain of youth you've found, lady? I mean, look at guys 15 to 25. A lot of the times beard can do a lot. Shave, you are 15. Let OT go 2 weeks and you look 24. Can confirm I am 29 and look 16 when I shave my beard. Not really crazy, but he came to the counter with a bottle of something. I asked him for ID. His reply was something like, "Is this how you treat all your customers?" in some kind of tone like it was insulting to ask for ID. I said yes. We both kind of stood there for a few moments, and he asked if I wasn't going to sell him anything. Not without ID. And then he walked out. I worked overnight at a gas station. Kid rolled in around 2 a.m. with what looked like a legit ID for being 21. But dude looked like a child. Also saw a cop car parked on the other end of the store when I went to check if it was a sting. I told the kid we can't sell alcohol past 2 a.m. Ended up screaming at me saying, "It's only 5 minutes past." Truth be told, it was just a cover to keep from telling him I wasn't going to let him buy it here. I worked in a liquor store for a few months back in 2001-2002. New Year's Eve, kid comes through with an out-of-state ID, trying to buy a bottle of hooch. I look at it and tell him he's not old enough. He replied, "Oh, that must be my twin brother's license." He didn't get the booze. Worked at a liquor store right outside of the university I was attending. Had a dude come in, had to be like 18, 19. He comes up and gives me the ID of a guy I grew up with. I just started laughing. In college we threw this big party that needed people to wear wristbands if they were 21 and up. I was stuck hiding at the door for a bit, and this girl comes up and there's definitely no way she's 21. And sure enough, when it's their turn, her and her group of friends all get that eerie silent that underage people do when they're hoping not to get caught by a bouncer. She shows me her ID. It's my friend. Not just my friend, but my friend who had her purse stolen recently. I told her this isn't you. She said yes it is. I said no it isn't, this is my friend. Where's her purse you took? The entire group goes deer in the headlights. She drops the purse and they all take off. She had like 15 IDs in the purse. I worked at a store where the liquor closet was in back and you had to be 21 to go down the hallway to it. I checked this one kid's ID and it's obviously fake. I confiscated, and he's like, whatever douche. Proceeds to walk back into the liquor closet, grab a fifth of shitty vodka, and place it in the counter, then demand I sell it to him. My co-worker and I were dying laughing at him. I used to look quite young for my age, in my late teens, early 20s, so quite often when I went to buy alcohol, back then it was 16 for beer and wine, 18 for everything stronger, but now it's 18 for any alcohol. I was told that they wouldn't sell to me because I was too young. Most times people would accept my ID or passport. Every now and then there was some back and forth before they eventually accepted. One person said he'd call the police. I told him to do it. I could wait. I wasn't doing anything wrong. Thankfully, when I started growing some facial hair, this all stopped quite quickly. I turned 18 and I was flying back from Berlin. I wanted to buy vodka. It was my birthday that day. The fella in the shop at the airport looked at my ID, said, "It's your birthday," loud enough so the other employees could hear it. And all of them started singing happy birthday to me. I died inside. Me, do you have ID? Him, hands it over. Me, this says you're 17. Him, I must have picked up my brother's ID. Me, no, it has your face on it. Him, we're twins. Me, twins are usually the same age. He left quickly after that. What would you have done if he said we just look similar? That's alright, we're open for a few hours yet, so you can come back and buy them when you have your ID. Not a liquor store worker, but when I was 18, I had these 10-year-olds ask me to go and buy them any flagon of premix alcohol. I took their $10 and went and bought them the cheapest cola in store, which looked like a flagon of premix, and kept the change. Worked at a beer store bar a few years back. Two kids come in, looked to be in their 20s. I wasn't behind the bar, so I'm only going on what was told to me, and sit at the bar. They call the bartender over an order, and she asks for IDs, which they present. She immediately sees something's weird about the card and calls over our boss, the owner, who takes a look and is like, "Yeah, that's pretty fake." Before they can even look up, these two dart down the back hallway, towards the private dining room and our storage warehouse. I see my boss, another bartender, and the store manager go running after them, and I go through the door on my side of the building, hoping to either cut them off, or at least keep them from getting out through the warehouse. Eventually, they try to hide in an empty dining room, while the owner calls the cops and negotiates with them through the door. So eventually the cops come and agree to take them out the back door, not through the restaurant area. While waking through the lot, the one asshole had the balls to say, "Oh, that's my car over there, officer," like he's gonna just drive home. The cop responds, "Oh yeah? Well, mine's just a little farther up, so let's take that one." As far as I know, that fake ID is still tacked behind the bar like a hunting trophy. I was working behind a bar at a theme park. A kid who looked about 13 walked up to the bar and asked me for a beer. Of course, I asked him for ID. His response was, "I left it in my car with my wife." Couldn't serve him, but could fault him for trying. YTF would somebody leave their wife in the car while they go to the amusement park? LOL, nice try, but next time at least have a story that makes sense. On my 21st birthday, I was waiting in line to buy a drink at a liquor stand at a festival. Extremely young girl in front of me tried to buy Mike's Harder lemonade. The bartender took her ID, laughed, and proceeded to ask the girl what her Zodiac sign was. The girl just stared at her dumbfounded and walked away to cry to her other friends who were also clearly under 16 years old. About 10 years ago, I worked in a local supermarket. At that time in my country, you could buy beer and wine at age 16, the same age you can drive a low-speed scooter with a helmet. So this group of kids came in every weekend to buy beer and wine with their helmets in hand. Always assumed they were old enough. One night the local cop was in line behind them, off duty. I decided to ask for their ID this time. Turns out they were 14-15 years, so yeah, no beer for them. When it's his turn, cop asks me if they come in often. I tell him they try every weekend. Next weekend the cop waits for them around the corner, busting them for underage drinking, drunk driving and driving without a license. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.